Hey guys, what's up? I'm Noah, this is Analog Resurgence, and let's talk about film or something. There's a lot of videos and articles out there over the past, week or whatever it's been since somebody discontinued a somewhat popular color negative film stock. What do we do now, and what happens next, and is film dead? What you should be worried about, what the future of film is. So here I am making a video about some of that stuff. Let's get the ball rolling and acknowledge, yes, Fuji did discontinue their color negative professional film stock Pro 400H. We don't really need more of a reason to kind of hate on Fuji for a lot of people. They like to give the old discontinuation to a lot of film stocks. 400 ISO slide film, 1600 ISO color, 400H, hack film, Acros. Acros did come back though, so in Fuji's official statement about discontinuing Pro 400H, they are quoted as saying that 400H is a unique product that is coated with a fourth layer requiring specialized raw materials and chemicals. As it has become increasingly difficult to procure the raw materials needed to produce Pro 400H, Fujifilm has made the difficult decision to discontinue Pro 400H. Now, it's not as popular as it used to be, but for a while there, Fuji was making a lot of their films for color that had a fourth layer of emulsion on the film. The fourth layer was like an extra color layer that helped to offset different color shifts from using it under mixed lighting, fluorescent lighting, and things like that. For reference though, because there's also some level of confusion here, they do not use it on their Superior 400 film or their C200 film either. So those color film stocks have a different manufacturing that doesn't involve whatever materials are required for the fourth layer that is on the Pro 400H film. But yes, Fuji likes to discontinue film stocks, and it's easy to hate them for that. Here's a graph about film and Fuji over time versus now, or whatever graph. I never ever shot a single roll of Pro 400H in my life. Now that's not any reason for me to be like, well, it doesn't matter then, because even if it doesn't drastically change for everybody, the fact is that when we're shooting film, the ability to have a variety of choices is one of the greatest things about shooting film. Different film stocks and different characteristics, and making the decision of like what works best for what situation is such a big part of using film for photography, for motion picture, for just messing around. And when we're talking about color film, well, there's like not a huge variety of things out there. We're really limited mostly to like Kodak and Fuji for color stuff. And the discontinuation of a Pro 400 ISO color negative film stock means that we are left with Portra 400 pretty much. So it is not fun when one of those choices for shooting film is taken away from us. The important thing is that the film community has banded together in this time of need and agreed that, hey, we should all start panic buying 400H, and it is super stupid expensive. And now there's also the big what if of, does Fuji bring out something in 400H's place? We can kind of take a look at what they've done with Acros, their 100 ISO black and white film, which is also pro film. It was discontinued by Fuji, and then like a year later they reintroduced it. But there's also been a lot of like conspiracy and weird stuff around whether or not Fuji truly makes it, or if they kind of outsourced it to the UK for Ilford. There's probably a pretty good chance that Fuji isn't as heavily involved in the production of that as they originally were for Acros. So the case with 400H is a little bit different, primarily because color film production is a big thing, and not a lot of people out there in the world are set up and capable of doing it. So we don't know. All we know at the moment is that Pro 400H is discontinued officially. Okay, I've decided that the big theme of this video is choices. Choices about what to shoot, having the availability of different film stocks and options. Now, a few weeks ago, there was a news story about Kodak Alaris. And Kodak Alaris is like really basically the part of Kodak that deals with marketing and production and figuring all of that out. It was on their end and through their efforts that Ektachrome came back a number of years ago. So a quote from this article / interview comes from Andy Church, who is a business manager over at Aleris, and he had this to say. We've also got a couple of new additions to our portfolio we're looking at. And I can't tell you what they are because I don't want people to get too excited in terms of announcing something and then not being able to deliver. But one of them would be something relaunched, something that we had previously, and perhaps a new product that would also come to market. So let's all start freaking out because Kodak announced that they were going to bring out new film. No. Let's not do that to Andy. The really vague sense is that they might bring out new film. There is at least some level of thought process going into, okay, we should bring out something new or restart production on something else. Now again, like Fuji bringing back Acros, Kodak has also in the last number of years brought back Ektachrome and the black and white T-Max P3200 film as well. So without going too crazy here, let's start to wildly speculate on what Kodak should or could either bring back or introduce as a new film. My main thought behind all of this, and one that is shared probably by a lot of people, is maybe more slide film. This is just based off of the fact that they brought back Ektachrome just only in a 100 ISO option, and there's the possibility that they put a lot of work and resources into bringing back a slide film and putting that into production, only to do it with one emulsion. And there's also no high or medium speed 400 ISO slide film out there. And it would be really, really nice, even though slide film is a small audience compared to a lot of other film shooters out there, if there was a 400 ISO slide film. I think that's my main desire. Beyond that though, there's things like the possibility of maybe an 800 ISO consumer film, although I do feel that's not super necessary as long as lomography does offer that, but I think a lot of people would really like something from Kodak that is more readily available, easier to get your hands on. Or they could put a new focus on their pro color negative stuff. A number of years ago, there were actually two different versions of Portra. There was Portra NC, which was Portra neutral color, and there was Portra VC, which was vivid color. Now, after a certain point, everything was just kind of merged and a single Portra was brought out to the world. So again, the graph, put up a graph, Kodak and film over time also, or Kodak and bankruptcy over time. You get it, the graph, it all makes sense. There are black and white film stocks from Kodak that would be interesting, mainly Plus X. Plus X was a really nice lower ISO black and white film that Kodak made for a really, really long time, along with Tri-X. But it's been discontinued for years now, and I never got to shoot it in a photographic format, but I did shoot it in Super 8. It looked really nice. So that is, if they were to bring back a black and white film, I would love to see Plus X come back. And because I'm just throwing things out there, an infrared film, a color infrared film. Infrared color film is so expensive to buy and so hard to come by, and is such an interesting and really unique type of film that I think that if somebody brought out a color infrared film again, they could potentially make a lot of money because there's so many people out there who will pay through the nose to get expired infrared color film. But those are just some thoughts about a vague statement that was made in an interview a few weeks ago. There is potential because they're out there and film is being made, and also film sales are up. Film sales are up. And digital camera sales are down, and the future is hard to know. Graph over time, digital sales, film sales, an intersecting X or something. And because I'm just doing a catch up on a variety of things, back in November, the German film manufacturer Orwo also made some reference to maybe pursuing color production. Years ago, Orwo did produce color film, so there is some level of experience, but also there is a lot to know about Orwo and exactly what's still possible there and who is in the know and everything. But yeah, there was an interview a little while ago where it was said that we do have plans to make a color negative on the line here. It's a matter of demand, funding, and capability. Don't know when that will happen, but it is in the plans. I have full faith in being able to do that. So that's not nothing. Let's just group it in with the Kodak stuff as well. There is potential for more color, but it's not gonna be like a quick kind of thing where suddenly tomorrow you walk into a camera store and suddenly there's new color film sitting on the shelves. This isn't the end of days for film. I mean, it's always been like vaguely the end of days for film. But also my interest in like, is film dead? It just throw up a graph. My interest in hearing the debate about whether film is dead or not over time. I don't know if I've said anything unique or different between everybody else who has talked about Pro 400H in the last week, or Kodak in the last decade, or film in the last 30 years. I can't speak for the future of film, or like the future for anything, because I mean, it's the future. Here's what I do know. Film really seems to persevere. It's been around longer than I have, and it'll outlive a lot of us, including a lot of people who are like, film is dead. But guess what? You're gonna die before it does. I'm sorry, that was way darker than I meant it to be. What I'm trying to say is that film will probably exist in some way for as long as there are dedicated people who want to use it. Even if color production stops and our choices for like color film fades away, black and white will still exist for a long, long time. Film production is also a very complex and strange topic. It's like a lot of other things. There is a supply chain, and when things in the supply chain fail, then production becomes an issue. A lot of people were complaining about film shortages last year. It's not really a sign that everything is coming to an end though, because there's also a global pandemic happening that interrupts production of a lot of things beyond film. Also, sometimes the lack of something can lead to the inspiration of something new. With things like the Impossible project, that was a very intense effort to bring back Polaroid integral film. One Instant, love it or hate it, is at least doing something to try and tackle pack film in some way. Piranha has been a constant uphill battle to put P30 back into production and introduce like more black and white film with the potential for color someday. And small dedicated projects like that come into existence because something is discontinued or something is missing, and there is like a skill and people that can come together to put something back into production, or at least try. So that's where I'm at. I'm not really worried about like the future of film, because I don't know, who knows what tomorrow brings with all of this stuff. It's a miracle that we're still shooting it at all. But here are some things that I like to keep in mind. Don't hate on Fuji too much, even if they took away something that you cared about super deeply, because for the rest of us who are shooting slide film, Provi and Velvia matter to me a lot. And I will be super bummed if those disappear as well. Even if you didn't shoot Pro 400H, or Polaroid Spectra, or pack film, or Kodachrome, or Ektachrome originally, or Acros when it first got discontinued, or any of these other things, and you keep just missing all these things because you're like, I really like shooting Kodak Gold all the time, and that's all I really care about. Just understand that choices are really important, and they make this whole thing a lot more fun when there is a variety of film out there to shoot. Learn to love black and white film, because, I mean, if everything falls apart and there is no more color film out there, there's still gonna be black and white, because there's a lot of people able to produce black and white. So maybe try and fall in love with shooting black and white. And number 4, panic buying is the worst. Hey, that's the video for the week. Thank you for watching. A couple of things. This is a new desk. I got a lot of room now. I'm way more comfortable. The videos look a little bit better. I don't necessarily have the ability to make the videos look spectacular, but also I've always just kind of wanted the videos to have the same aesthetic as like a weird Canadian public access television show.
Preteen world, grow up and join us on Preteen world.
Yeah. Information down below for some of the news stories that I referenced, and also for the Analog Resurgence Patreon. Support it so I can get an even bigger desk. And I've got mail, so now I'm gonna show off some mail because some people have sent me some stuff and it's super cool. They showed up today and it came from Spain, and it came with a really nice written letter, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce names or anything. Hi, Noah. My name is Juan Yusta. I've been taking pictures for about 10 years now, and 3 years ago, I've discovered the analog world. It got me hooked. I really enjoy all the process from taking the pictures to developing and scanning them. I've been watching your channel now for a while, and I really like how you bring all sorts of weird cameras and film history. I'm not particularly interested in shooting instant or movie film, but you really make them such an interesting topic that one could just sit, listen, and enjoy. I learned a lot about Polaroids, and maybe someday I'll get one to see how much different they are to my Instax Wide. I'm writing to you because I have released my first zine. I thought you might like it, so here it is. It's a really nice zine. It's all 35mm black and white that looks really nice. Yes, so I will include this person's Instagram in the description down below as well. This one, something's across the room here. This was a few things came to me from the Lomographer, who is somebody over on the Patreon who has supported the channel graciously, has previously sent along a few things as well. It's a really old pack of Polaroid positive negative pack film, which is type 665, some type 55 Polaroid. These are 4x5 sized, instant peel apart, put them in your 4x5 camera, pull them, peel them apart. Hopefully the chemicals still work. He told me to give them a shake and loosen up the chemical pod. And then also some E6 slide film in 4x5 quick load as well. Some Fuji Chrome 100D. It doesn't even say Provia or Velvia, it's just Fuji Chrome 100. And also Polaroid 100D, so not instant film, but actual slide film. Also, a pack film holder for my Mamiya Universal. So that stuff is great. The P.O. Box, again, people that send stuff along, amazing. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I got a new desk. I'm just gonna spend the rest of the day sitting here. No, I'm not. I'm gonna edit this video because it's gonna go up on Thursday and I am recording it on Tuesday afternoon.